Hi, welcome to the Gear Garage. I'm Zach, and this is my fun little internet show about whitewater stuff. And today I'm going to attempt to talk about boat repair. Boat repair is tough. It depends on the glue you're using, the fabric, whether it's Hypalon or PVC or urethane. It's just tough, and nobody really likes doing boat repair. It's hard, tedious work. I'm going to pass on some of my tricks, things I've learned in this video. I'm not a boat repair expert. I have friends that do boat repair, ask them the questions all the time. I practice a lot to get better, but I definitely highly recommend asking professionals, boat repairers, to do your work for you. But if you want to do it on your own, in your house, great. Please follow some of these directions, maybe all of them. Out in the field, you're stuck with some glue and some basic stuff, so you need to know how to do this sometimes just to get your boats down the water. Now, in the field, I highly recommend having Terraid. It's this new magic sticker stuff that came on the market maybe like 5-6 years ago. Type A Terraid is for most boats. Type B is for PVC boats. And that will help you do a quick repair of like an inch, maybe 2-inch tear in a boat. Any bigger, you need to pull out the glue and do this kind of work. So I'm going to talk about the steps. This is just good stuff to be familiar with. Maybe you have a basic familiarization, or you're the trip leader and you understand how to do full boat repair. But having a basic idea of how to do it will make a difference. Again, whether you're in the field or if you're at your house fixing your own boat. The first step is just to make your patch. And what I'll do is go to the boat, I'll kind of measure the size, and I'll draw on the material a really accurate rectangle that I want to cut. Some people will just kind of eyeball it and cut it, and that's fine too, but I like a nice looking patch. And I'm going to take my time here and do a really good job of cutting it. Any kind of mistake here, any kind of weird thing that is made by cutting could catch on a rock later or something and could pull the patch off. So I want nice even lines for my patch as I'm cutting it out of the material. After you get a nice rectangle or square or whatever, you really want to have rounded off corners. Again, if there's a sharp corner and the patch is on there, that corner is going to grab something, whether it's a hand or a rock or anything, and it's going to want to pull the patch off. You want as many rounded, even surfaces or edges as you can. So I take my time and really round out those corners. Here I am removing old glue. I'm actually patching over some other patches here. And so you want this thing cleaned off. This is something I have to remove old glue. You can also, in the field, just use toluene, which is a solvent that pulls glue off, and a rag. I just don't like using toluene very much, so I have this little thing. I'm not sure what that tool is, but it pulls off the glue. And then what I'll do is I'll take the patch I made, and it's a nice looking patch. I like the way that one looks. And I'll draw a line around it. This helps me know how much of the area to prepare. Boat repair is all about the preparation, and you're going to take some time here to really prep this surface. And so I want to know exactly what the lines of this patch are. And I also want to know, when I go to lay the patch down, exactly how to lay it. I don't want to go outside the lines too much. I put these funny marks on it, you just saw me do, so that I can also match it up from different directions when I go to put the patch back down. So next I'll take, in this case, this is a Hypalon material, so I'm taking toluene, some sort of solvent, and I'm going to clean the area really well. I'll take my time here, do it a couple times. Maybe it's overkill to do a couple, but toluene really kind of gets the surface ready to go. And I'll do that both. I'm doing 2 patches here, so you can see I'm doing it to both sides. And I'm pretty thorough. You can see my lines around here. This toluene can sometimes pull the lines I drew, can take off the lines I drew around the patch, so I'll redraw them after this sometimes. And then at the same time, I'll also clean the surface of the patch I'm going to glue. So you can see I have my patch on that piece of cardboard. This allows me to kind of work all over the patch and not have to worry about getting toluene on a table or something else. And I actually have these patches duct taped down to those cardboard pieces. Next step, this is actually fast forward a little bit, it's moving fast. You want to rough up the surface. In the field, this will be with some sandpaper. At the warehouse, I use a Dremel tool. It just kind of roughs up the surface. From what I understand, it makes a bunch of small microbial level, a bunch of small things for the glue to grab on. I don't completely know why you rough up the surface, but I know that it's really important. And I definitely take my time and get every little spot on the fabric. And I won't use toluene afterwards. I'll wipe that off. I wiped all that extra stuff off. And same thing, you want to rough up the surface of the patch.
So I'm going through and I'm just slowly roughing this up. And this is just tedious work. But really the key to patching is all in this prep work, making sure you have a nice patch that's ready to go. And getting all the edges is particularly important here. And again, I'll wipe all that stuff that leaves off. I'll wipe off. I'm getting ready to glue, and so I'm going to cut I cut my brush. I'll cut my brush really short so it's not long hairs. And I'm starting with the first coat. I'm trying to do really thin, even coats. And a couple things, it's really hard to do. If you patch a lot, you might be disgusted by how I'm doing here. But I'm trying to do really thin, even coats. Now I'm on the boat, same thing. Trying to apply thin, even coats. I have the line I drew around where the patch goes, so I'm coloring outside the lines. I want to go beyond that line because I'm gonna maybe not put my patch down perfectly, and so I'm going bigger than the patch area that I did. I think some people who are really good can color within the lines, but I definitely put more glue on than I need. And you can notice like I'm maybe struggling here. It's just really hard to get one nice even coat. I'm just really checking that I got the right spots. So a professional would just have done that in half the time. After about 15, 20, 30 minutes, depends on the material, it's time to put another second thin coat. And it's hard to see where you've already laid glue sometimes, so you're probably going to see me here lay glue down to the same spots I already have. But again, the goal here is just one thin, even coat. And again, I think I do an okay job here. I struggle with this a lot. Having the cardboard is nice because you can make sure you go outside the lines. You're not going to get it onto something where it's going to stick. You want to definitely get the edges really well. And here I am back in the boat, second coat, about half an hour later. And I'm just putting it on the best I can. I can probably barely see the line around where my patch is supposed to go, so I'm doing my best guess. But I'm putting on, again, more glue than I need to, a bigger area than I need to for the patch, just in case I don't set the patch in the exact right spot, which is something I struggle with when I'm doing repairs. And this is probably too much glue. I'm just, I feel like I missed some spots, so I'm going over them. But again, you want to put a nice, thin, even coat. And I'm just going over it again and again to make sure it's even. Next, this is something I do with Hypalon, is I use toluene to activate the glue. People say you can touch it and it's supposed to be barely sticky when you lay the patch. I've never noticed that. So I have been told you can just dab on toluene and that activates the glue. And once you're ready, you just kind of lay the patch. It's really important to get it in that exact spot that you intended it, but it's also very hard. So I take my time here, and I was probably off a little bit, but luckily I glued outside the lines. And that extra glue kind of looks bad, but you can get that off later with some toluene if you want. And after you put the patch on, you want to get the air bubbles out. And also I'm patching over other patches here, so I'm kind of defining the other patches underneath. And the goal is to push from the center to the outside, trying to get any air bubbles out. And so I'm just taking my time, pushing on that patch, trying to push any air bubbles out. When the patch and the boat touch, when the two glue surfaces touch, the chemical reaction happens. You're not forcing them together. You're not forcing the glue together. You're simply trying to get the air bubbles out here.
Well, thanks for following along with that. I know there's a lot of long sections of tedious work, but that's what boat repair is. It's just difficult, tedious, and it's all in the prep. And so for those of you that want to do a boat repair, I highly recommend doing a practice round. Get some fabric at home. Just glue fabric to fabric and see how that holds. For those of you that are looking for professional services, there's some great people that do boat repair. My favorites are Goodwater Boat Works. A big shout out to them. They repair all of my commercial boats because I just don't have the time to do it all, and they do a much better job than I do. So if you want a top-notch job done, contact my friends at Goodwater Boat Works. And if you have any issues with anything I said, whether it's wrong, you have a better way of doing it, you have more tips and tricks, please add comments in the comment section down below. This is how I learn things. Everybody learns things. We have a great discussion about how to get better at all the aspects of rafting. So yeah, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.